Yo, what is good, Jets Nation? Welcome back to another Jets Media live stream. And today we got a special guest. We got Will in the house. Most of you guys probably know Will from Twitter. He also has a great podcast. Will, welcome into the show, my man. How you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely, bro. So for the people that don't know who you are, maybe they don't know that you have a podcast and what you got going on, why don't you introduce yourself to the people that are unfamiliar with your podcast?
Yeah, so I cover the Jets for turnonthejets.com, the TOJ pod weekly, 1 or 2 episodes a week. We try to get as many big guests as possible, try to get the biggest and best names in the sport, whether players, former players, analysts, coaches, things of that nature. And then, turnonthejets.com, and then Twitter, Will, and then PA11 on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.
Yeah, so all that's actually down below, linked already in the description. So if you guys want to check out Will on Twitter, that's down below, and the Apple podcast down below as well. So make sure you guys check out Will. He's doing great things over there with this Jets content. So, Will, we're going to start off talking about the Jets and Texans game that just got wrapped up this Sunday. We finally get a W, the third one of this season. So why don't you give us your thoughts about that game, and then what you saw from the Jets in particular, from the coaching staff and their approach to get the job done, because we knew we were on the road. We're going up against the Houston Texans team that we have the same exact record. It was a definitely winnable game, and Zach Wilson returned to action after being out for 4 weeks. So what did you see from the Jets getting that W last week?
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those games that was a bit bittersweet just because Zach Wilson comes back, doesn't look great. I'm sure we'll get into Zach a little bit, but look, they got a W on the road. This team needs to learn how to win. Needs to learn how to win on the road. They need to learn how to win in general. Something that they've struggled with a lot over the past 10 years, other than not developing a quarterback, is they just are not a very good road team. And going on the road, no matter who you're playing, whether it's the Houston Texans without Deshaun Watson, and whether it could be the Detroit Lions, it doesn't really matter. W's are all that matters in this league, and it's hard to come by. So I was impressed with the defense overall. I thought the defensive line came to play. They have not traveled well on the road at all. From a defensive line perspective, they actually did do that Sunday. John Franklin Myers, obviously a huge shout out to John Franklin Myers, was fantastic. The interception, the 2 sacks, had a TFL as well. Quinn Williams was great. Quincy Williams, who I was dead wrong about, people that listen to me on the podcast know I ripped Quincy quite a bit, early on. I thought he just was going a million miles an hour, kind of nowhere. But he slowly slotted in next to C.J. Mosley. He's a guy I'll touch on later as being a super big key for them to beat Philadelphia. But overall, look, they won. Learning how to win with this young core is going to be super important. Games where Zach Wilson's not going to throw for 500 yards every week, right? So if they can figure out how to win in spite of the quarterback, then once Zach starts to pick it up and play well, that's great signs, kind of going forward for them.
Yeah, I agree, man. And everybody, shout out in the chat. For those guys just tuning in, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button. Make sure you guys check out Will down below on Twitter and his podcast, the TOJ podcast. Got great things going over there. So I agree with everything you said, Will. I really think that the Jets, they showed up and they got the job done. Obviously, it wasn't pretty, but a win is a win. And this Jets team needs to learn how to get winning habits. We're trying to build a culture. Robert Saleh, Joe Douglas, they are determined to build this team through the draft, and they're determined to, sacrifice the young guys and make sure that the young guys are playing every single snap. And that's going to be, an up and down type of season. And here we are, we're 3-8. But for the Jets to go out there and get the job done, and their defense to finally step up, because if you remember the beginning of the season, the defense was the story. We're like, wow, the defense is actually exceeding our expectations. We thought that the defense is going to be, struggling at first because the Carl Lawson injury, the joiner went down early in the season, and the defensive line was phenomenal. The corners were just blowing our expectations away. And then all of a sudden, the middle of the season, the defense becomes, historically terrible. And now here we are, we're going up against a bad Texans team, especially a bad O-line, and the Jets defense finally gets back on track, having a career game for John Franklin Myers. C.J. Mosley looked like his old self. Quincy Williams, like you mentioned, he's a very interesting player, and I'm excited to talk about him as well. And I feel like this was one of those games where, me personally, going into the season, I wanted the Jets to win that way, just in terms of not really putting it all on Zach Wilson, because they did not ask Zach to win them the game. Zach in that second half, he became a game manager. And I feel like going into the season, I said all the Jets need to do is protect Zach Wilson, establish a run game on offense, and defend well so we can ease Zach Wilson into the NFL game so we don't have to rely on him to do too much. And I feel like that's really what I got from there. And I'm happy that we actually got a defensive victory this season, because that's the backbone of this franchise for so many years, especially getting a defensive-minded head coach and Robert Saleh. So talking about Zach Wilson, Will, I want want to talk about your thoughts about his entire season so far. Obviously, he's only 6 games under his belt, so a very small sample size, but we did see what he did against the Texans. Obviously, it was a little underwhelming, like you alluded to earlier, but what's been your assessment on the rookie quarterback, Zach Wilson, so far? What do you want to see him improve on as the season progresses?
Yeah, Zach's been interesting. It's been underwhelming. If I'm being totally honest, I was expecting a bit more. Obviously, I didn't expect him to take as long, quite frankly, to gel with guys like Elijah Moore, and he obviously started to gel with Corey Davis quite a bit. Between that probably week like 3 through 5 window, but Zach's overall season's been disappointing, but it's also had its ups and downs, and he's a rookie, with 6 starts under his belt. I thought he was starting to play better in that New England game. I know Salah's touched on that a bunch, before getting hurt. They basically tried to lead 2 scoring drives. Can't help, having a terrible kicker and getting cheap shots. So, the Titans game was super exciting. The slow starts are probably the thing that's concerned me the most, and just kind of forcing the ball when it's not necessarily the plays down the field. It's the 3-4 yard routes where he's throwing 100 miles an hour. That's the stuff he's going to need to work on. But overall Sunday, I thought he did some good things. I thought he did a couple of really bad things, but footwork wise, I thought he looked a little bit better. He still kind of gets like antsy in the pocket. I don't know that he trusts that offensive line yet, which they did have a few breakdowns early, but the offensive line's been much, much better. It's kind of stabilized over the past 5 to 6 weeks. You look at guys like Michael White, Josh Johnson, Joe Flacco throwing for that many yards. That's not just, Mike LaFleur, as good as he's been. It's the offensive line blocking better and things of that nature. They ran the heck out of the ball, which is good. I know you alluded to this defensively with a rookie coach and a rookie quarterback for that matter. Like, it's really important to play good defense and run the ball. And the Jets, they're still the 31st ranked defense. Yeah. So, it does make it difficult on them. But overall, like I said, I think the season's been a bit underwhelming, but I'm not like out on Zach Wilson or concerned. He was still the rookie of the week against the Titans, who are, a top 3 seed in the AFC. He looked really good that second half against Carolina, who is a top 5 DVOA defense. I thought he was good in the second half. Like, he finished 14-18, probably another 150 yards in the second half and second quarter and second half. Got rolling with Elijah a little bit. If he connects, Ryan Griffin doesn't drop that ball, his stat line looks a little bit different. I think we have a different impression of him, right? Or, the interception and watching it on film it's frustrating because you can kind of see what Zach's thinking, but you're also like, why? It's not that it's the worst decision in the world and it's going to get memed to oblivion. And I understand why, because live on TV, it looked awful. When you look back, Ty Johnson was looking at him. He turns around at the last second, and all those things are true, but it's 3rd and 17, rookie or not, slide, get down, take the 4 yards and punt the ball. You're in your own territory. The Texans went and scored a touchdown, right? That's the stuff I'd personally like to see him work on the most. It's just the dumb turnover that Sam used to have, Gino, and they had in him, where it's not Zach being aggressive. Like the New England game, the first 2 turnovers don't bother me. He's being aggressive. It was like receivers slipping, dropping balls. Like, that stuff doesn't bother me. It's why did you just have a brain fart right there? And then now, you've put the team in a horrible position, right? So he avoids the turnover. I don't think we're looking at that. I think everyone got really skewed by that first 2 drives, and then it went from there. So, again, Zach's got a ton of potential. I'm not out on Zach by any means, and I think his rookie year this is going to be a pretty big 3 to 4 game stretch here. You got some solid defenses, but games that are winnable. This game coming up this weekend's a winnable game. Philly's a good defense. New Orleans, the same thing. They're both at home. You'd like to see him kind of get in a little bit of a groove here early. The 1 for 6 starts, though, with the pick, that's going to have to stop, because the Jets, as much as every Jets fan would love for the Jets to be a team that can get in a 14-3 hole on a weekly basis, this team is not on a weekly basis going to be able to sustain that. So if Zach can start to show those flashes he did against Tennessee, Carolina, a little bit against New England in the second game, and a little in the second half, the 2 throws to Elijah Moore were nice, and the Keelan Cole 4th and 5 looked really good on film. So keeping those rolling, and I think the Jets will be all right with their franchise quarterback.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything you said about Zach Wilson there. I'm right there with you. I think that for me, what I'm seeing with Zach Wilson is he doesn't really have his 100% confidence in himself yet. You can see he's very decisive. He doesn't have that swagger that you saw him at BYU. Like, what made him so special on tape in college was he just exuberated confidence. He walked on the field, and you can just tell that he knew where he's going to put with the ball. He has confidence in his arm. And right now, I saw him against the Texans, have a pump fake 3 different times. And it wasn't like a pump fake to try to, fool the defense. It looked like he was a throat, and he thought about it twice, and he ate the ball, and then he took the sack. I feel like that's really the problem so far with Zach Wilson. And that's common for a rookie quarterback. So that's why I'm not too concerned. I feel like the more reps he gets, the more games he gets underneath his belt, he's going to get more comfortable in the pocket, because I know some Jets fans on Twitter, they see that, that Ryan Griffin missed touchdown opportunity, and they say, well, why didn't Zach stay in the pocket there? The pocket was clean. And that's what Zach needs to learn. But at the same time, that's what makes him special, because he has the ability to make something out of nothing. But at the same time, he needs to find that balance to be a pocket passer, because you cannot rely on rolling to your right, rolling to your left, being that backyard style quarterback throughout your entire career. As great as that ability is, you need to be able to be a pocket quarterback. And I feel like he has that ability. I'm happy that you brought up that 4th and 5 to Keelan Cole. That really stood out to me. And also stood out to me in Robert Saleh, to being a head coach that was aggressive late in the 4th quarter, trusting his rookie quarterback to go make that play. I'm very happy that happened, because that really showed me a lot about Robert Saleh as a head coach, and Zach Wilson being able to do what it needed to do to get that first down, because that was a huge, huge call. And then they went for it again on 4th and 1 that ended around to Elijah Moore. So I love the aggressiveness from the coaching staff. And even though if you look at the stats and Zach Wilson's stats don't jump off the board and it wasn't that impressive, for me personally, what Zach Wilson did in the second half should make Jets fans extremely, hopeful that he was able to compose himself. He became a game manager. He did not turn the ball over. He's protecting the ball. And the run game was working. And that's another thing that people forget. Like, if the run game is working, if you have Tevin Coleman, Ty Johnson, and even Austin Walter being able to run the ball with ease, Zach Wilson doesn't need to throw the ball a lot. I mean, he only had 24 pass attempts, so the stats are not going to come when you have a really good running attack. So that's really my thoughts about Zach Wilson. We're definitely on eye to eye when it comes to Zach. We get the first super chat of the night from Jets NY 101. Appreciate the donation, my man. You can clearly see the NFL speed of the game is a bit much for Zach. However, that moment it finally clicks, Zach will be the real deal. So, Will, what's your thoughts about this? Do you think that the speed of the NFL game is a little much for Zach at this moment? And do you think it's going to start slowing down for him this year? Or do you think we have to wait to see his sophomore season for that to happen?
Yeah, there's one thing I was going to bring up too. There's like you kind of mentioned that confidence, and Zach's confidence right now is like at 0. You can see it. There was a play to Elijah Moore. The play he fumbled, for once the Jets got a fortuitous bounce. That was fantastic, obviously. But he had Elijah Moore in the slot on a stick nod combo, and Elijah Moore just cooks his guy, and like Zach, he does everything right. He looks off the linebacker, comes right back to Elijah, and like he knows it's there. He sees it. He makes all the correct reads. His footwork's intact. Elijah wins, and like he's just not trusting that that's the right read and it's going to be there. And that's the stuff for me where it's like that'll start to develop and go, dude, that's open. Throw it. You got to throw it now. You can't double clutch. And then you give Morgan Moses, who's banged up the play before, give him a chance to get beat there. So that's the little things. But yeah, I mean, the NFL speed of the game is too fast for him right now. It's too fast for Justin Fields. It's too fast for Trevor Lawrence. At times it's too fast for Mac Jones. So it's certainly too fast for Trey Lance. He hasn't, he looked pretty horrible in his one start. The people I know in San Francisco are like, he's not playing anytime soon. So yeah, the game will slow down. I think it'll slow down week by week. That's why it's so important to get him reps, right? And I think that's why while the Mike White stuff was fun, and we joke with the Joe Flacco's elite or Josh Johnson stuff, this franchise going forward is about Zach Wilson, whether you like him or not, whether you like his background, all these different things. That's not really relevant. What's relevant is he needs to get rep after rep after rep. The game will only slow down in that sense, right? And the more looks he sees, the more different coverages, the more different defenses, the more ways he's able to prep and game plan week by week. That's what the game will start to slow down. So I think the game will be 2% slower this week than it was for Zach Wilson last week. He'll feel a little less rusty. He'll trust the knee brace a little bit more. He's kind of understanding what game speed's like with the knee. Remember, these guys aren't practicing anywhere near as much as you were 10, 15, 20 years ago. You're getting one day of full pads, a day of shells, and a day of helmets, and that's it. So while Zach had 2 weeks of practice, he ran scout team 1 week. The other week, he got 3 days of practice in a kind of a ramp-up game, going on the road. So, no, I'm not worried about Zach, especially in terms of that speed of the game. It's natural for rookies. But you'd like to see it game by game, him start to just kind of be a little more settled. He's a little jittery right now. You can see it in his footwork. You see it in the way he's kind of just bouncing around, doesn't trust things. So that'll start to come. I think the offensive line has been, like I said, has been better. But I don't think they trust Zach yet either, which is that's going to be, that's kind of a back and forth. That's not just on Zach, or it's not just on the offensive line. Zach has to trust them and know where they're going to be, and they need to trust Zach as well. So I think it'll only get better week over week. He might not be perfect the next 6 weeks, but I would expect the little things to get better week over week.
I agree, man. I hope that Zach can really not even a bounce back, but this Sunday I feel like is a really big test for him. And we're going to get into the Eagles preview in just a second. But before I do that, someone in the chat asked, is there an AFC East roundtable tonight? Yes, there is. We're finally back. We're going to be on TD Finns Talks channel tonight, 9:30. For those guys that don't know what the AFC East roundtable is, every single Wednesday night, we have 4 YouTubers all representing teams of the AFC East. Obviously, I'm representing the New York Jets. This is the first week this season where every single AFC East team got a W. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens tonight. We're going to be debating hard. And yeah, that'll be on TD Finns Talks channel tonight, 9:30. So stay tuned for that. So now let's get right into the Eagles preview, Will. I want to hear your thoughts about what do you want to see from the Jets in order to get this W. Obviously, we're coming off a really good performance defensively against the Houston Texans, but the Eagles are a different animal offensively. Jalen Hurts is banged up. I think he's going to be able to play, though, and they have a very good rushing attack. But the Eagles are also coming off a loss to the New York Giants, who actually shut them down. And the Giants have been a really interesting defense. They started off terrible. The defense is supposed to be great, but the defense got back on track and really shut down Jalen Hurts. And Jalen Hurts has been having a really good season up until that moment. And another thing about the Eagles that concerns me is their D-line. I feel like that this is going to be a really big test for the Jets in the trenches on both sides of the ball. We know that Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh want to build this team through the trenches offensively and defensively. And that's the same exact mindset with the Philadelphia Eagles. So I think this is going to be a big test to see what the O-line can do against that Eagles D-line. Can they protect Zach Wilson? Can they run the football efficiently like they did against the Houston Texans? I think that's going to be the deciding factor in this game. So what do you think the Jets need to do in order to get this W at home against the Philadelphia Eagles repping that stealth black uniforms?
Number 1 is going to be stop the run. Number 2, stop the run. Number 3, stop. They have got to stop the run. Jalen Hurts is going to play. He talked about, this afternoon. He's banged up with a sore ankle, but he'll play. The Jets have to take advantage of that, with some somewhat limited mobility. The Eagles' offense is very sideline to sideline. It's a lot of screen stuff. It's a lot of, quick passing and things of that nature. And then they try to chuck the ball deep when they can. The Jets have got to stop the run, though. Like when the Eagles have had success, it's because Jalen Hurts has got 100 yards rushing. And, you go down the line, Jordan Howard gets in there 75. And then, and the list goes on and on. Obviously, Devontae Smith's important to shut down. But I feel confident in Bryce Hall pretty much, at this point on anybody. Brandon Cooks ate him up for a little bit, and then Bryce Hall got him right back. So it's all about stopping the run, like I said. The Jets got to get out to a little bit of a quicker start. You look at the games they've won at home. Tennessee game looked good. They didn't look good in the first drive, but they started to kind of settle themselves in. The defense brought it early. Cincy, same thing. They scored in the first drive, and then they're able to drive the ball down the field and kind of you can't keep the defense on the field for 100 plays. Yeah. And having to come up with these miraculous stops. So again, if you stop the run, you get after Jalen Hurts a little bit. You try to make him pass between that 12 and 25 yard mark in terms of that intermediate passing game. Like the Jets should be able to win that football game. So again, defensive line, I agree with you in terms of shutting guys down like Fletcher Cox, but Brandon Graham's of the world, they're not playing. Josh Sweat is a talented edge rusher. The Jets saw him early, during camp. I just think the Jets, if they can avoid getting, as long as Darius Slay doesn't wreck the game a little bit, he's a guy that is an exceptional football player, and he doesn't get talked about as much in terms of the Jalen Ramsey, Jair Alexander of the world, but he is right behind them in terms of playmakers. So, get Zach rolling early. I would take a shot early in the game, even the first play, honestly, and just let it kind of rip. He seems to get confidence. You kind of saw it in the Tennessee and the Carolina game when he can make a play outside the pocket and he kind of gets that swagger a little bit going. I think LaFleur's been fantastic pretty much all year, if we're being honest, but he's gotten much, much better week over week. Again, rookie offensive coordinator. It's something that, I've really liked what I've seen. He's going to be a head coach in probably 2 years. So the Jets fans are, whether you like him or not, I would value him because the Jets usually don't have an offensive coordinator getting poached. So No, I think the Jets can win this football game. Look, they're pretty heavy underdogs at home. 7 points is a lot.
Wow.
For a 5-win Eagles team that just lost to the Giants and scored 9 points. If you make Jalen Reagor, aka Nelson Aguilar, try to beat you, you might be fine. But yeah, like again, I know I've seen a lot of stuff in the comments. Just be decisive, be confident in your abilities, right? And if Zach can just start to progress a little bit, and the Jets show up and play fast and physical at home. I'm really interested to see if Foley, Fatukasi, and Sheldon Rankins play. They did not practice today, neither Corey Davis. Those are the two best run stoppers. So yeah. I would interior wise. So I would like to hope at least one of those guys can go. If not, Nate Shepard is an interesting character. He's like 35 years old and gets a holding penalty every play. So I just think the Jets can win this game. I don't see a reason why not. They generally play pretty well in the black uniforms, minus the ghost game. Everything else has been pretty good. So look, again, let's see, kind of see what happens here. But if they can get to 4-8, now you're starting to go, okay, they've doubled their win total. We've lost Zach for a month of the season, but we've got some winnable games against New Orleans with no quarterback, Jacksonville, at Miami. Look, I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs. Obviously, they're 3-8, but it'd be nice to see them get to that 5, 6, 7 win mark and kind of put some wins together. Learn as a young core. So again, I think they can get a W Sunday. But Zach's gonna have to play much better than he did, and the defense is gonna have to bring it again and bring it early. They seem to that first drive, they seem to kind of get walked over a little bit, and then they adjust. You just can't get behind early at home. It just puts you in a bad spot.
Yeah, that's been the most unfortunate part about this season in terms of the consistency of the Jets getting off to bad starts. It feels like whether the defense is on the field first or the offense on the field first, it's either 3 and out outside of that Cincinnati game, or it's our defense just giving up a big play after big play. But I will say, against the Houston Texans, it looked like our defense was getting, wrecked, and then all of a sudden John Franklin Myers happened. So, I want to hear your thoughts about Zach Wilson in terms of this game in particular. You mentioned that you want to see Mike LaFleur draw up a nice explosive play, a big deep throw right out of the gate, because you mentioned that Zach Wilson gets really confident, gets his swagger back, something that I mentioned earlier that he's been lacking lately, if he just makes one of those splashy plays earlier on. So I feel like that Zach Wilson has a really good opportunity. Darius Slay is definitely not a player that we should, take lightly. He's a playmaker out there. He's a ball hawk. He can take the ball and just rip it out of the air and bring it down for 6. So when it comes to just Zach Wilson, what do you want to see from him in particular? And you can talk about Mike LaFleur in terms of game plan wise of how to really not even ease his way into this game, but build his confidence up and just let him play his game. Because I feel like Zach Wilson's trying to do things that he's not comfortable with, but I'd rather him do things that he feels comfortable with, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, you don't want to get him away from what he's good at. Ever, right? Like that's a big thing of, you just don't want to sit there and make Zach this check down Charlie guy that, as much as it was effective for Mike White early, obviously teams adjusted and the Bills clearly took advantage. So I'd like to see Zach in somewhere in that 23 for 34, 225, 2 touchdowns and a pick or something. Maybe I'm just trying to be, I'd love to say 330 or something, but yeah. Let's go from, 148 to 225 and kind of work our way from there. Again, take some shots early, try to get Zach in rhythm, get his confidence going. And not worry about the early turnover. That's something that's been also unfortunate is that the turnovers seem to come pretty early in games where then Zach gets a bit gun shy, or not gun shy even. It just, he gets kind of lacks that confidence a little bit. So, look, LaFleur, I want them to run the ball. The Eagles generally play a lot of soft coverage and try to stop the run. If they can, attack the line of scrimmage, run the ball a little bit, get something going, sets up the play action game, be able to create easy yards. You don't want the Jets in 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 11. Then you can get those pass rushers teeing off on you. You want to see the Jets kind of sitting that between 3rd and 2 and 3rd and 6. That's 3rd medium, 3rd and short, range where LaFleur can really dial up plays. He mentioned the 4th and 1. If that's 4th and 8, he can't run Elijah on a jet sweep, right? So you want to open the playbook as much as possible. There's 2 drives. The Jets scored back-to-back were the best drives LaFleur had all day, and coincidentally, Zach did as well. So get Elijah going early. If Corey Davis plays, try to get him, some targets, get him involved early, and run the heck out of the ball as much as you can. But the Eagles are going to play soft coverage. They're going to make the Jets try to beat them underneath, and Zach Wilson's got to complete those balls where they get aggressive and you can kind of beat them over the top with a double move or something like that.
Do you think Austin Walters is going to get a big workload this week?
Dude, he looked pretty good last week. I don't know.
Out of
I was
nowhere.
impressed.
Yeah, man, he showed some energy. I mean, he got,
He
I think,
looked
his first
burst.
carry. He did. And you can see, like, when a running back has a little, energy or a little burst in them, you can see it. And it really sparkled. He got 9 carries, 30-something yards, and a touchdown his debut. I'm like, hey, I would love to feed him the rock. I mean,
Yeah.
let him get the ball.
Just give him, and split those carries. Obviously, I'd like to see Ty Johnson get a little bit more, a little more action. Tevin Coleman seems to kind of have surpassed him in the last couple of weeks, but I like Ty Johnson out of the backfield, and he's gotten better in pass pro. So you can just kind of mix that stuff up between the three of them, get them some touches, and again, just be explosive a little bit. Have the Eagles respect that run game, especially the way they've run the ball the last 2 weeks. I think you'll be in a good spot. You'll be able to set up that, Shanahan play action, now the LaFleur play action kind of system.
Yeah, and also the wide receivers, Corey Davis, he's not practicing today. Hopefully he can play this week, but as of right now, it's up in the air. Also, Keelan Cole is potentially out due to the COVID protocols. And I feel like people underrate the depth that we have at this wide receiver position because people has been banged up throughout the season, whether it was Corey Davis, whether it was Denzel earlier, whether it was even Elijah Moore out with a concussion, Jameson Crowder was out. But, the depth is there. I mean, say Keelan Cole and Corey Davis can't suit up. Denzel Mims will finally be back. We got Elijah Moore. We got Crowder. We got Berrios. Like, I'm really liking the depth of this wide receiver room. What do you think about the room so far this year?
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I still think they need to add one more guy pretty early on in the draft. But I also think that they're in a good spot where they've got depth. They don't probably – Elijah hopefully is going to develop into that one. I think he's the Jets one right now. But you obviously want to continue to continue to develop these guys. Then sometimes coming back, you hope he can kind of shake off that Indy game. That was tough because I thought he had looked good, prior to that, the Cincy game. And then it was just tough a little bit with Indy. He felt like he was getting open, couldn't catch the ball. So hopefully, he comes back. Zach seems to have a little bit, Keelan Cole's actually been kind of under radar, nice target. So you get Denzel Mims going a little bit. He Berrios has usually 1 or 2 big, nice plays a game. And then obviously you'd hope to get Davis back alongside Elijah Moore, especially with, a smaller Eagles defensive backfield. You like to have that bigger body target like Mims and Davis.
I agree. Shout out to King Jamie for the nice donation. Zach will come around. He has good head and skills. Yes, sir. I sure hope so. I'm really hoping that Zach Wilson will come around. Shout out to King Jamie, always giving me the nice support on Jets media, even though he's a Kansas City Chiefs fan. Always appreciate that, man. So we're going to wrap up the stream today, guys. Thank you, Will, for joining. It was awesome to have you in. It's been, I've been following you a lot on Twitter, and you're doing great things over there in the podcast. You want to give, the people that are watching right now a little insight of what you got cooking for the next couple of weeks on your podcast?
Yeah, no, definitely. I appreciate you having me on. It was a lot of fun. I know you're doing a lot of great work, and obviously have a lot of pretty big fan base, which is fantastic. Yeah, we got pod coming out Saturday. Robbie Sabo, Adam Shine, and some others will be on. We've got people coming up in the next couple of weeks. Ryan Clark will be on. We have a few Jets players that'll be, former and current players that'll be coming on. I'll leave that to surprise, but Dan Orlovsky will be on at some point in the next couple of weeks as well. So we got a pretty big guest. I have a pretty big guest list coming on, but I appreciate you obviously having me on. And again, Will Paul 11 on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. TOJ Pod, Turn on the Jets. If you want to follow and keep up the great work, man, you're doing a great job.
That's awesome. I appreciate that, Will. And guys, make sure you guys check out Will down below. It's all linked in the description. Podcast, Twitter, all that great stuff. Will, I appreciate you joining in. And Jets Nation, I'll be live on TD Finns Talks channel tonight at 9:30. Come support Jets Nation in the chat. It's going to be a heated debate. We'll see you guys there.